Welcome back, everybody, and a happy Money Monday to you. As this video comes out on the 24th of August, 2020, in the midst of our current bull market and all of the changes and transitions that we're going through as individuals and as a society. This is the community that is taking advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to grow wealth and adopt early the changes that the rest of the world are waking up to. Let's get cracking. Hey guys, hopefully you're feeling fantastic today. And today's video is going to be a Money Monday video. And it couldn't be more appropriate. Money Monday in the truest sense of the word. For those of you who are not aware, one of the keys to my success as an investor and a trader is the consistency and discipline to invest frequently. You just have to put money into the market. And the way that I accomplish this is I simply set a day of the week aside in which I purchase investments for my long-term portfolio. I buy things of high quality, projects that I understand, and that I fundamentally have faith in. Now, I do have two terms for long-term positions that I acquire. And when I use the word investment, I mean something that I plan to hold forever, that I do not intend to sell, because I am of the opinion that what I am investing in is so valuable that it's avant-garde, the front of the front, or so ubiquitous or useful that it will always be valuable in the case of precious metals or Bitcoin, for example. And I intend to pass those investments down to my children to begin my family's generational wealth. Now, the other term that I will utilize, I call a positional trade. And this is a trade where I do acquire something that I consider of high quality for whatever reason. However, I do intend to sell it at some point in time. And the purpose of the position is speculative. Now, last week we had a fantastic live stream, and on that live stream I said that if we got over 100 likes, I would tell you guys 5 of the coins that I purchased as positional trades or moonshots. Now, that is what I said. However, I want to be clear that although I am quite excited and bullish currently, I'm quite excited by the state of the current market and where we're at, the current market conditions have not affected the successful habits and the discipline that have allowed me to be a successful trader. And I impose the same upon you guys. My moonshots are positional trades that I have. And in today's video, I'm going to share 5 of those coins with you and explain why I purchased them, how they've performed since I acquired them, and what I expect moving into the future. Now, I stand behind my selections. They've all done quite well for me. However, I must note that although, as you will see, I am still accumulating 1 of the 5, 4 of them I am not. Some of them I have begun to sell, and several of them I have sold completely. And just because I like something or my analysis has brought me to picking up a position doesn't mean you should alter your strategy. If you like my selections and you believe in my reasoning, fantastic. If you don't, then I would recommend you take the level of analysis, the way in which I look at these projects, and the manner in which I consider my positions as an opportunity to improve your own. So let's break it down with today's video. Let's get to the charts. Now, the first cryptocurrency that we're going to take a look at today was a position that I talked about and discussed just a few months ago. And I talked about this on stream. I talked about acquiring a position in a speculative project, and members of our premium trading group will attest to the fact that I shared that pick with them in that community mentoring session. This project is Flexicoin, ticker symbol FXC. Now, Flexicoin is an ERC20 token, therefore it is native on the Ethereum blockchain. The project originates from the United States insofar as its 3 primary developers are from the States. It was initially recommended to me by our senior analyst, Alexander, and what I focused on is the way in which the funds were raised and the way in which the tokens were allocated. So there was an initial fundraising for the coin via a private sale, not a public offering, not an ICO that we're so familiar with, particularly with ERC20s. And it is with the token sale that things become interesting and we begin to see why I actually purchased this token. When we look at the allocation of Flexicoin, it might initially make your hair stand on edge. Now, keep in mind, again, there was no public token offering. There was simply a private sale to which one firm purchased the lion's share, perhaps all, of that distribution. And that firm was Access Ventures. Now, Access Ventures is based in Louisville here in the States, and they are a relatively obscure investment company. And according to their portfolio, which is public on their website, we see that they have invested not only in Flexicoin, but in Bolt, Nervos, Basis, and Eco. Eco was another project that I had the opportunity to speak with their developers. Interesting project. I'll make a video on that sometime. Now, potential ideas for those looking to see what will get the FXC treatment perhaps is to look at these and see how they've performed. However, what really interests me is the Coinbase rumor. And this is why I haven't sold yet. We'll get to that here in just a second. Now, to be quite frank, from what I can glean from looking at Flexicoin's SPEDN application, the app that you can download in the App Store, this is not a good quality app. It is not performing as intended. When we look at download rates, which I had to purchase from a third-party company, and looking at the actual use case of the project in light of what they want to do and how you have to accomplish it, I do not think that Flexicoin is a project that I want to hold long term. In fact, if I may be transparent, it actually seems like a poor project, something that I would not really want to hodl whatsoever, because I feel that its use case is extremely convoluted, complicated, and an unnecessary abstractation when even simply Bitcoin accomplishes paying merchants with money easier, particularly with the Lightning Network, which I'm very supportive. And other cryptocurrencies are currently accomplishing or capable of merchant transactions without any external feature. We could just use a stablecoin. Now, I could go into more detail about exactly how bad potentially Flexicase's use case is. However, I'm surely not going to at this point in time, and perhaps in the future, it will make a great video to make as an example of what to look at when you are trying to distinguish between an investment and a positional trade. Now, you might think to yourself, Justin, well, is there anything positive? Like, why do you hold this coin? I'll tell you, the reason why I was interested was because of the centralization behind the ownership of the coin and the implications that would have on market dynamics. Now, if we look at the allocation according to their official statistics, 25% of the token allocation went to the Merchant Development Fund, i.e. ostensibly to onboard new merchants to accept the SPEDN application, which is just a QR code. 25% went to developer grants, 20% went to the founding team pool, 20% went to the token sale, and 10% to the network development fund. That means that realistically, only 20% of circulating supply was initially released to a private investor, Access Ventures. They potentially are making the entire Flexicoin market. And the vast majority of all of the tokens are locked up, although I haven't seen the smart contract to prove that they are. I don't think it exists. And they're held aside for the developers, the founding team, and other kind of flowery, oh, we're going to invest in making more merchants and we're going to, make the network better. But none of that matters. What matters is the centralization of the circulating supply and the power that a large investor like Access Ventures, being behind the project, being behind the marketing, the cooperation, the partnerships, the handshakes, they were all there to create a great opportunity. And this is what we're going to call Pumpamentals, right? When we're looking for positional trades, I will often look for Pumpamentals. Now, not specifically, there's just going to be a great example in Flexicoin. Now, decentralized projects, ones with genuine good use case and real development, they simply take longer to grow. If you look at the growth of Bitcoin, Bitcoin grew naturally through actual engagement and interest in the platform, as opposed to many altcoins, where we are largely looking to take advantage of good marketing and good leadership, which the team at Access Ventures has. They're smart guys. Now, I want to look at when I made my first purchase of Flexicoin. I first purchased Flexicoin on May 12th of 2020, and I have added to that position twice, once in June and once in July. I am up 150% on my trade, and I have pulled my principal out of the trade at this price level. Now, the only externality that we have when looking at the Flexicoin chart, when we're considering is this going to continue, is the Coinbase rumor. Now, I want to remind people about the, let's say, fickleness of the Coinbase rumor phenomenon, or as it's being referred to in this market cycle, the Coinbase effect. Now, for a long time, when things would be listed on Coinbase, they would actually immediately dump. And so it was considered buy the rumor, sell the news, such event. Or if we were looking for a strategy to improve our trading. However, lately, with the bullish sentiment in the air and the amount of money sloshing through the system, everything that's been listed on Coinbase, with the exception of Compound, perhaps, has pumped tremendously. And therefore, obviously, if Flexicoin were to be listed on Coinbase, I think that this could tear off exponentially. However, I will say that knowing what I know, or feeling the way I feel about the actual product, I actually don't know if it will be listed. And listen, I'm sorry to any Flexicoin lovers out there who actually love the community. Perhaps I am completely wrong. Just based on my analysis, I'm not so certain, pretty uncertain that Flexicoin is going to be an interesting development that will actually cross the finish line. And I would be surprised if Coinbase were to list something like that. It's certainly not above Coinbase to fan the rumor and benefit. However, I would be surprised if they actually list it on the platform. However, anything could happen in this alt season. At the very least, if Coinbase were to list Flexicoin on their exchange, not only would I have most likely a fantastic acceleration of my trade, however, I would have to review a little bit of my personal strategy with regards to where I transact money. Now, there are two ways, looking at the market structure of Flexicoin right now, to view where price is at. One is that price has been appreciated largely on the bulk of this latest Coinbase rumor, and the strategy would be to buy the rumor, if you did, that time has passed, and to sell the news, which would make right now, as we are pretty much at the highs, a good selling opportunity. And it is a good selling opportunity for any trade position, certainly for a moonshot. Although we do, when we say moonshot, we're looking for a 10x, 15, 20. We want to be greedy. So I would certainly enjoy to see Flexicoin really put the work in here naturally for any position of this nature. However, I do feel the most conservative thing to do is to take 50% of my profit at this price level and allow the rest to ride, which is exactly what I did this morning by selling 50% of my Flexicoin position. So I am going to allow the other 50% to ride, and I'm not really concerned with where we go in this range. I have made a great return on this trade, and if it decides to appreciate, I will still make quite a good return with just not as much capital as I intended. Now, do I think Flexicoin is a good price to buy at this level? I really do not. I do not think it's a good long-term position. It has been a profitable positional trade for me, and I will no longer be adding to my Flexicoin position. I will simply be allowing it to run its course and watching the Coinbase information closely. Just a word of caution to the Flexicoin holders out there. Remember that a massive quantity of these tokens are being held by the developers, by the founding team, and largely the circulating supply is being held by a private equity firm. And they have the patience to ride this thing for quite a long time. Venture capitalists generally have the grit and temerity to last invested in a project for quite a long time. However, Access Ventures does not have the track record, in my opinion, or maybe the desire to watch Flexicoin grow. It does feel to me that their incentivization to invest in Flexa was most likely the same as mine. So unless they've been sold a song here, and looking at their team, I don't think that they have. Just be cautious, because the liquidity on the sell side, for that matter, for this asset is, for all intents and purposes, nearly limitless. That brings us to my second coin, and that is Mainframe, ticker symbol MFT. Now, Mainframe originally caught my interest as a lending protocol. The success of the MakerDAO and the promise of DeFi to bring the features and functionalities of traditional finance to the cryptocurrency market in a decentralized fashion with more user control, with lower fees, and with a greater user experience was a very tempting offer. Mainframe, with regards to my personal decision to purchase it, largely came down to social trust and proof that it was a project with feasible technicals and the correct investor interest to make me pay attention and consider it more seriously when I was doing my initial research on it. Now, things that I have largely paid attention to, particularly with Mainframe and the previous token that I just talked about, are things such as the developer commitments, the quality of their writing, the commitment of their marketing or the strategy of their marketing, the contents of their GitHub, and the sentiment of the large holders of this token, and also who you've got at your helm, who's making the handshakes, who's doing the partnerships. From looking at the flows of large wallet addresses on Mainframe, we can see that over the last year, the MFT whales have largely exited MFT. And for whatever reason, Mainframe has been unable to keep up with the other DeFi competition with regards to keeping pace with gains and attracting investment and user sentiment. Now, Mainframe has been performing well, though, because of its ability to leverage the DeFi label. However, I do not see Mainframe, unfortunately, crossing the finish line here either again. This is another reason why it was a positional trade rather than an investment. Again, I saw the success of MakerDAO and I wanted to get a piece of the DeFi sector when I first learned about it. But if we take a look at sentiment, we can actually see that the largest holders of Mainframe are essentially out of this project. I would also want to note that the amount of Mainframe held by retail individuals is, of course, at new highs. Now, on one hand, one can either assume my sentiment that investors have realized that Mainframe is not going to be the project that finishes or crosses the finish line with regards to being the finished product that makes DeFi actually gain that mass adoption that we're looking for, like Compound. And all of those individuals have, in that regard, made the decision to exit out of their MFT positions and allocate to other investments. Now, alternatively, it could potentially be that I'm wrong and whales have simply distributed as price has risen. As we can see that whale positions are near lows of their holdings, or quantities of large holders are at near lows. And that this is an opportunity, once price reaches a more adequate level on a dip, a good area, an opportunity for them to be accumulating again, which they have done several times in the past. That will certainly happen to some degree. However, with regards to Mainframe, I have actually sold all of my tokens now. I am fully out of Mainframe, and I won't be re-entering this for a positional trade again. This will just be relegated to my swing trading watch list for my P2P strategy. Overall, with Mainframe, I was able to accomplish my objective. My objective with my positional trade for Mainframe was early speculation on the success or potential success of DeFi following my introduction to DeFi at the San Francisco Blockchain Week 2019 conference. Overall, I began accumulating Mainframe following that event, beginning in late November of 2019. And my average entry, therefore, is quite attractive. Now, I did add to my Mainframe position 4 times between November of 2019 and May of 2020. And overall, I was able to achieve just a hair over a 200% return on this trade. It's not YFI, but it does pay the bills. On a more positive note, let's go to my third coin. Now, the third coin that I purchased as a moonshot opportunity was DOC. Now, DOC was something that I noticed back in late 2018. The cryptocurrency markets were thirsty and hungry for something that they could believe in. In late 2018, we had just entered, I want to say, the mid-range of the crypto bear market, and we thought we had seen devastation. Little did we know that right around the corner, the November plunge still awaited us. However, we were hungry for something that we could believe in, and the concept of decentralized exchanges began growing in popularity around that same time. And with it, DOC, a protocol for decentralized exchanges. So I knew that I wanted a piece of that sector, a little bit of the decentralized exchange pie. So there were a lot of options at the time, but I noticed the, let's say, marketing behind DOC at this time. Again, really looking at Pumpamentals, and the psychology was there. For whatever reason, there were enough influencers or large holders of the token that were interested enough in DOC and began accumulating DOC and were content to hold on to it and make this a serious moon mission. And with that kind of marketing, we can get good Pumpamentals. Now, as the entire market was in a bearish trend at that time, I was being quite tentative with my money. With my Money Mondays in general, actually, I was still investing, but when it came to cryptocurrency, with Money Mondays, I was still mostly purchasing for long-term positions at that point in time, dividend stocks. Now, following the November crash in 2018, I was unsure of how quickly it would take for the cryptocurrency markets to recover. However, I knew that following this, we had an opportunity. The opportunity was in front of me. And I began accumulating DOC in March of 2019. And I actually added to my position all throughout 2020, multiple times. I only stopped accumulating DOC after the sign of strength that occurred in early July of this year. So relative to where prices are now, I did have a good entry, as DOC did recently hit the second highest high. And as I saw all the opportunities in DeFi, for example, with the retail euphoria that is entering into the market and just the overall heat of the market, I did decide to exit my DOC position. So I only have about 20% of my original DOC position left. I did decide to leave it open as a runner, but I have closed out the vast majority of my DOC trade, which I did earlier in the month of August. I did end up selling slightly above 2 cents, about 2.2 cents for an average exit. Now, I'm unsure of whether or not DOC will continue to rise. We do see some sideways volatility occurring without a clear trend. Of course, we have a preceding bullish trend. Now, at the moment, the potential indications of what might be distribution following a nearly 400% rise makes me conservative and wanting to watch for trend confirmation here, or breakout or continuation confirmation. Now, I was able to accomplish a little shy of 350% on my DOC position, so I'm quite happy with that X return. And DOC was recommended to all the premium members in my altcoin portfolio recommendation. Now, I do believe that DOC has fallen behind, however, here in the excitement with regards to decentralized exchanges. I do feel certainly that other platforms have taken the lead, and I haven't seen the use case or really adoption or partnerships that I would really have liked to see in DOC. And so it's no longer on my radar as a long-term hold. And I cannot in good faith recommend anybody to purchase DOC, certainly at these inflated price levels. I'm also at this current time not interested in accumulating DOC at a later time if it were to fall into an accumulation zone. Now, it's possible that my opinion may change in the future with new information, but at this point in time, that is how I feel. Let's move on to my fourth coin here, and we're going to start heating up because the last two might excite you. Now, this one is not one that I have sold yet, and that is Holochain. HOT is the ticker symbol. Now, I could spend a long time talking about Holochain. Holochain is an alternative to the blockchain model. Holochain wants to allow data, as specifically application data, to be shared with full ownership and autonomy by the user, by the owner of the data in a peer-to-peer fashion. It takes concepts from BitTorrent, it takes concepts from Git, it does use cryptographic signatures, and there are other features that are encompassed in Holochain's layout to attempt to accomplish what some blockchains want to accomplish, but in quite a different way. It's very much different from a blockchain, i.e. currencies are optional. You do not have to have currencies in Holochain. You can simply transact data. Now, Bitcoin, obviously, as a blockchain, wants to be decentralized money or a store of value. And Ethereum wants to be a distributed worldwide computer. Holochain is unique and different. And perhaps this is why I have not sold any since I have begun averaging in and adding Holochain to my ledger. If you guys would like to see more on Holochain, specifically its technical differences between blockchain, let me know in the comment section below, and I'd love to make a more in-depth video on my rationale behind why Holochain is unique and why I think that it's going to appreciate in price. So finally a coin that some of you might be interested in entering. Now, let's look at current price trends and what we think about Holochain, what I think about Holochain right now. Now, I first purchased Holochain in March of 2019. I did take some speculative gains in that summer run-up that we experienced last year. However, once price fell back down to what I consider to be its accumulation zone, I did begin averaging in as part of my Money Mondays on occasion. I have added to my Holochain position 12 times over the past year and some change since I first began initially purchasing Holochain. And to be quite honest with you, my average entry is still roughly where price is at. I am marginally up. However, I have not had huge gains from Holochain, and I am being quite patient with this, as this is a long-term hold that I am comfortable holding for quite a while. I do like the development that I see coming out of Holochain. Their GitHub is active. Their community is active. They do have a good plan. And again, the sentiment of individuals holding large quantities of the token does not seem to be rushing for the door. So overall, Holochain is the one token that, based on where we're at in our current range and what we currently know with price discovery, is a token that I think is undervalued relative to where it will be in the future, and one that I will be holding on to unless something dramatic changes. if I had to pick the safest coin of this list of 5, it would certainly be HOT. Now that brings us to my final coin that I purchased as a moonshot, and that was Unibright, UBT. Unibright. Now, many of you have heard of Unibright. It is up nearly 2,000% from its initial release. Now, you had about a month, perhaps, to purchase at or near that price level. The next best accumulation zone for Unibright was up a little above 300%. If you had purchased there and looking at where price is now, you would be up 200%. I myself first purchased Unibright in April of this year. It was brought to my attention by a fellow analyst, and upon review, I really loved how they focused on their actual use case and business model of being a cryptocurrency bridge to businesses, a one-stop shop for getting all of the benefits of blockchain for a business, for business applications, with none of the hassle, or at least that's their intention. That's what it says on the sticker. Now, in that same vein, UBT struck me very much like another project that I do support and am invested in, and that is Algorand. Projects that focus on businesses and their actual use case do stand out to me with the potential to have long sustained growth. And those are important metrics to watch for amidst all of the coins where we might be easily succumb to just looking at their Pumpamentals. Now, how has Unibright performed? Well, it's performed pretty well. As I said, I am happy with my current unrealized gains that I've made, and I have not yet sold any of my Unibright position. We can see that price is in a wide trading range between 20 cents and 55 cents, where it's possible we reaccumulate on a broader level. However, looking at distribution of holders from sentiment, we can see that the last vestiges of the largest of large whales have exited the market recently in early August on the latest pump. We also see that whales of the next step down are distributing in a clear downtrend. However, we do seem to have reached a level of stability with that, and there is a good enough quantity for this price level to be sustained and pushed much higher. And overall, I view this as the initial investors getting out with great gains, and now the asset is open to the free market for price discovery. If the Unibright team is able to follow through more on keeping their vision true, which with the partnerships they've been able to procure, and what they've put out seems realistic. The only complaint that I have about the Unibright team is the same complaint that I can leverage at many DeFi projects. They just don't update things. They have an outdated roadmap. They don't update their calendar. And it could seem, based on those and a few other things, if you're on the outside looking in, that they built something, they built what they wanted to build, they waited for it to pump, they took their profits, and they don't really have any intention or motivation to develop further. Now, while that may be the case for many of these projects, Unibright, I think, has the potential here to shine if the rubber keeps meeting the road. Now, looking at the chart, we just have much less data to go on. This could be distribution or reaccumulation, and the weight really lies on the developers here. However, I have not sold any of my Unibright as I am holding on for prices higher than $1, at which point I will be taking my initial profits unless something changes, which case I will let you guys know. That wraps up the 5 coins that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to just share my experience purchasing these coins and holding these coins. And I will say this, I am pretty happy with the choices that I made. Often when I talk to individuals and I ask them, well, what coins did you hodl up through this bull cycle? You know, a lot of individuals will tell me, and like most things, there are coins that I've held that performed well. Some of them I've shared with you, and some that have not performed well, which I haven't shared with you. But again, they're on my trading results, results.crackingcryptocurrency.com. And I want to say that the biggest outlier, the biggest thing that I've noticed in mentoring sessions lately is individuals comparing their gains to what has been going on with DeFi. There have been massive gains in DeFi. You know, the gains that you really want to write home to mom about. And a lot of individuals haven't been able to experience those gains. And they have experienced gains. People have had 40% trades, 80% trades, 100, 200% trades, or positional swings. And for whatever reason, they don't feel satisfied with it. I can feel the malaise from a lot of market participants that have held on since 2018. A lot of them have had the opportunity to get out of their bags, to sell at break even, or even at a good profit for just hodling on. And they're not satisfied. They've made money. They did well, but they're comparing themselves to DeFi, and a lot of individuals are kicking themselves that they didn't get in. And now I see, unfortunately, another wave of euphoria pushing into those markets, which is individuals who had good trades, who had good picks, but they want more. They want that big gain. And I think that piling in for that reason is certainly a mistake. There is a concept in trading and in life where you have to be comfortable in your own skin, and you have to be grateful for what you're given. Some individuals will make more, some individuals will make less in any given situation. And you, if you develop the tools and skills to trade for a lifetime, or you practice this art for a lifetime, you will have your days. You have to appreciate it. For example, I just shared with you that one of my biggest winners in the season was a 3.5x. Now, I have actually had a larger win, but the amount of capital behind this 3.5x win is what made it more valuable. And I will say that I'm very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. Sure, it could have been a 10x or a 20x, or I could have bought this coin, or I could have bought that coin, but I didn't. I bought my coin. I used my brain, my analysis, and I put my money where my mouth was. And I held the position. I dollar cost averaged. I maintained my composure, and I just continued to do what I know I'm supposed to do. And eventually, I was able to realize that return. Perhaps I've sold too early. That can be one of my inefficiencies or one of my mistakes that I make, as I've shared many times. However, I'm very happy with how I performed this season. I'm very happy with the steadiness of my hands, and I'm very, very grateful for the returns. I'm very grateful for what they're going to purchase, right? As you guys know, I've just recently purchased a new house, and I'm going to be able to move my family there, which it's just a good upgrade for us. And there are other things that money has allowed me to do. And it allows me to continue to live this life, provide for my family, and feel very proud. But it does take effort to not compare yourself to anybody else in the market. Any other trader, any other investor, any other project, they're not you. You are you at the end of the day. And it is imperative that for your well-being and your psychology, that you learn to be grateful for what you have, the opportunities that you're given. Enjoy this life and live it to the fullest. And that is so true with our investment decisions. Over time, you will learn more discipline, you will learn more skills, you will learn more strategies, and you will be able to optimize and put yourself in a position to make those gains. But there is an element of chance here. So be grateful for what you have, and the results of your trading will improve your life more. I promise you that. By the way, I just wanted to let you guys know that the tools I used in today's video to glean information about the coins we discussed are uniswap.vision, which is a great way to look at hard to find ERC20 charts. And over here, we do have ChartX Pro. It's chartx.pro, where you can easily find the market you're looking for, see the latest buys and sells. You can even visit the token contract or go right to Uniswap's swap page to ensure the token that you get is the one you want. Finally, sentiment. To view the accumulation or distribution of the largest wallets or holders of a coin. However, I do want you to keep this in mind. This is subjective, as really fine analysis does need to be done to rule out exchanges or staking pools, for example, which those tend to be the largest holders of most tokens. And that nuance can make your initial assumptions wrong. So make sure if you're using holder distribution as a serious tool in your tool belt, to look into what those wallets are. They could be development funds, they could be locked up funds, exchanges, staking pools, or any number of things. However, it is useful to identify the retail and large investor trends and act accordingly. Remember, we want to be trading like Buffett, not like Barney down the street. So thanks, guys. I hope this was helpful. Next week, I'll be putting out another video very similar to this one because I do hold additional coins beyond this. I certainly have held more coins than this. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the DeFi coins that I have accumulated recently and that I believe will be good performers as retail plunges headlong into the cryptocurrency markets. Following that, let me know if you guys would like to see or have me make a video on what ICOs I've invested in, some of which were great, some of which weren't, and some of which I actually still hold, some of which I'm happy about, some of which I'm not. Having said that, if you're watching this channel and you want to make trading and investing a profitable side hustle or a full-time profession, there is a labyrinth of misinformation out there. If you want the plain facts and an actionable plan to improve your trading and your life, visit what we do at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com, for a risk-free trial of our online trading academy, signal service, indicator suite, and to sign up for community and one-on-one mentoring. That's premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. I'll see you guys in the Discord. Trade safely.